Greetings, this is Charles Darwin, and I'm speaking to you from a weedy field. At least it used to be a weedy field, but now it's undergoing the process of ecological succession. And if you've ever studied ecological succession, perhaps in an ecology course, you know that the typical pattern that they tell you is you start off with a bare field and then you have the annual weeds growing, and they're all separate from one another, and then you get the perennial weeds growing. And the perennial weeds have something different. Not only do they store up some resources underground so that they can sprout back rapidly the next year, but also they are connected together so that if you have a particularly lucky stem in one place, it can actually send nutrients to a stem that's not quite so lucky someplace else. And that's what we see happening all around us in this secondary forest. We don't have the old trees here, but we have some of the early successional trees. Here's a sand plum. Okay. That's an early successional tree. This is goldenrod right here. This is grass-leaved goldenrod, which is a different species but still called a goldenrod. What we see here is a lot of little persimmon trees, but they're not separate. They're all connected underground together. So this could be a persimmon tree. You can see that there's some dead ones that were killed by the cold snap that we had last winter. And but then they've recuperated from that. They're growing back from the protected underground parts, and they're all connected together. The same is true of most of the plants that you see here. Excuse me for being a little bit uneven here because I'm walking over a very uneven road. Here's some more of the grass-leaved false goldenrods. This is Lespedeza. It's an invasive weed, and they're all connected underground as well. So let's go a little bit further and I'll show you some more early successional trees, all of which are, I remind you again, connected with one another underground, and that's part of their survival. They keep each other alive. Now, I do not know whether they connect together with other members of genetically different members of the same species. But now you can hear in the background a lot of road noise. There's a major highway just a few feet away from where we are right now, and there's a lot of traffic on that highway. Well, what I'm telling you now is that there's a lot of traffic on the plant highway also. You can't see it underground, but it's still there. As materials such as carbohydrates, perhaps hormones, traveling through the underground connections. This is a black locust right here, and so are all these trees, and they are all connected. That's why they're all in a clump. They are all connected underground. And the same thing is also true of this honey locust tree right here. There are several of them, and they're connected underground as well. Here's one, here's another, and they're probably all connected underground as well. And then finally, at the end of succession, you end up with a forest of trees that are later successional. This one right here is a bitternut hickory sapling, and we usually think of the trees of a forest, and here you can see the mature forest in the distance right there. We usually think of these trees as being independent and each dependent upon just themselves for their own survival. But is that really true? Could it be that those trees are also connected, maybe not through actual rhizomes, but maybe through their mycorrhizae? I told you about that with regard to the seaside alder in an earlier video. Well, you can see there's a lot of connections underground, and this is a busy, busy place right here. This secondary forest that will grow up someday into the mature forest that we can see behind us that has mostly post oaks and blackjack oaks. This is Charles Darwin speaking to you from south central Oklahoma in the middle of summer, and it's very hot. I'd better stop because I think my camera is going to overheat if I don't.